Hello everyone and welcome to another video on AI 050 course. In this video, we will learn how to interact with the OpenAI resource. So there are two ways to interact with the resource. One is the without code option, another is the with code option. So first we would learn about the without code option, and after that I will show you the with code option. Okay, I repeat myself. In order to interact with the OpenAI resource that we created, there are two ways. One is interacting with it without any code. Second is interacting with it with code. Okay, so let's see how to interact with it without any code. In order to interact with the OpenAI resource without any code, we have to click on this button called Go to OpenAI Studio. With that, we'll be able to interact with the OpenAI resource without any code. Now, the main purpose of using this OpenAI resource was that we'll get access to different ready-made models that Azure has created for us. In order to use those models, what you will have to do is make those models live. Currently, those models are not live by default, so you have to make them live. In another words, basically you will have to deploy that model. Deploying that model means making it live. So let's go to the deployment section, and here uh, we will ensure that whichever model I want to use, I make it live. So let me click on create deployment button. I'll assign it a name. I'll call it test deploy. Then let me select any model that I want to deploy over. Different models will have different capabilities. Here we have some models that are used for text generation. So just like chat GPT, right? Chat GPT behind the scenes uses GPT-4 model, right? And so on. You have different models. There are some models that are used for converting your text to speech. Okay, for example, Whisper is such model which is used to convert text to speech. Like that, you have different models with different capabilities. Okay, so you can select the model of your choice. Alright, in my scenario, let me select GPT-4. So all of you guys would have been familiar with Chat GPT tool. So Chat GPT tool uses this model called GPT-4. We'll talk about other models as well as we go through. Okay, fine. Then you can select the model version of your choice. Ideally, make sure to select this option called auto update to default, because what would happen is, let's say I've selected a particular version of model and made it live. Let's say after a few months that version that you have selected might get deprecated. Okay, uh, so support for that version would not be available. So in that scenario, what would happen? You have deployed your model with a specific version, and that version is now no longer available. It has been deprecated. So in order to avoid that issue, what you can do is you can select this option called auto update to default. With that, what would happen is, let's suppose there are three versions. Okay, and previously first was the default one, and you had selected the first version. Let's say that first version got deprecated. Okay, so now second version has been made default. So in order to make sure that your deployment also auto updates to the default version, make sure to choose this option called auto update to default. That means in case my current version gets deprecated, in that scenario, move on to the new default version. Okay, after that, it is asking me to select a deployment type over here. I will choose a deployment type called standard. Okay, we'll talk about the different deployment types. You can learn more about it in the documentation page also available over here. But fine, for now I'll choose standard deployment type. The other deployment types I'll explain to you soon. Okay, then it is asking me that in order to process tokens in the background, what is the token processing limit that needs to be set? So tokens can be thought of as words or subwords. So for example, if I give an input to the model saying how are you, so it will break this input down into tokens. So for example, it might generate 3 tokens. Okay, Similarly, if I ask the model something like how are you question mark, so again it will take my input and break it down into tokens. So how would be another token, R would be another token, U would be another token, question mark would be another token, and so on. So tokens can be thought of as words or subwords. Now how it takes input and divides it into tokens, that depends upon how that particular model was created. Okay, currently we don't have any control over the model creation. These models are already created, so the model that I'm deploying is GPT-4. It has already been created, and all I have to do is use it. So I don't have any control over how it takes the input and breaks it down into tokens. But behind the scenes, it will take your input and break it down into tokens. Okay, fine. So certain tokens, like for example, if we have a token like Apple, it will be treated as one token only. On the other hand, if we have a token like blueberries, it can, if we have a word like blueberries, maybe your model can take this word and break it down into two tokens. Blue would be another token, berries would be another token. So how it takes an input and breaks it down into tokens, it depends upon how that particular model was created. Okay, so it's saying that behind the scenes, in order to generate a response from the user's input, behind the scenes it will go through its own trained data. Now while going through that trained data, per minute how many tokens it will try to process. So you can set a token processing limit over here. Okay. Then once the model gives the answer, sometimes you might want to put a filter on that answer so that there are no offensive terms used in the answer, there are no racist terms used in the answer. So you can select the content filter of your choice. Either you can select the OpenAI's own content filter, or you can select Microsoft's own content filter. Remember, Microsoft company has done a collaboration with OpenAI company. So all the OpenAI models that OpenAI company creates, it makes it available on Microsoft Azure as well. Okay, fine. So you can choose the content filter, whether OpenAI's own content filter or Microsoft's own content filter. If you want to create your custom content filters, you can do that by going to the section on the left hand side over here. But fine, let me select OpenAI's own content filter and let me create this deployment. And basically what I'm doing is I'm making my model live. Which particular model? GPT-4 model, I have made it live. Now that I have made it live, I can interact with this live model, or I can interact with this deployed model. So that was it for our current video, wherein we learned how to make a model live. In order to interact with a OpenAI model, we first have to make it live. That means we first have to deploy it, and how to do that we saw it in this video. In our next videos, we'll learn more concepts related to this AI 050 course. That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching, and bye.